All right, welcome everyone who's already here. I'm Mike with 3DNA Dental. We're super excited to have Kevin Dillon here today with LuxCreo. We're gonna wait about 5 minutes to wait for the rest of the people to join. But in the meantime, we have a poll to understand a little bit more about what interests you specifically around direct print aligners and kind of help us do better and better at being able to provide the needed information. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll, and we'll wait just a few minutes to let other people join. All right. There you go.
So it looks like people are starting to flow in. Nice to see some familiar names.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to find a way to have the other question be able to have a scripted answer, or like an answer where you can write your response, but I didn't find a way before we started. Maybe next time.
Paul, you got a joke you can tell us while we're waiting?
Nothing that's very appropriate.
I know we have to be careful these days on these webinars.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell jokes anymore without offending somebody. I guess that's the fun of it, though, right?
Oh, there's some cute one out there. We just need the real question is aligner jokes. We need to write some aligner jokes.
You'll definitely offend somebody that way.
Yeah. I just thought of one just now. What do you call a fish with no eye?
Okay, that's horrible.
Bro, dad joke right there.
Yeah. Glad we only got one more minute until we start.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that one's pretty safe. You know what I mean?
That
Yeah.
was safe.
Sounds more like a Hawaiian joke.
That's fair. That's fair.
A lot of Hawaiian jokes always had to have spam in it.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think that's more like people talking about Hawaii jokes, but it's fair.
All right. Well, it's 12:05. Let's get the ball rolling.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for joining us so far. I'm going to leave the poll up. You should be able to minimize that out of your way if it's in your way. I want to introduce Paul, my business partner and director of sales. He will be here to mediate 26 years of experience in orthodontic sales. Super friendly guy, super handsome guy. So he'll be fielding your questions. If you have any questions at all throughout the presentation, he'll be able to mediate those into the conversation, as well as we will have a Q&A at the end. We are going to
one of those things, those questions through the Q&A tab.
That's right. Yeah, ideally through the Q&A. the chat gets a little confusing when you do it that way. So try to submit your questions through that Q&A button there on the bottom of your screen, hopefully. So we'll introduce Kevin here shortly, but we're just going to quickly tell you a little more about 3DNA and why we could maybe be of help to you. So I'm Mike Gordon, founder of 3DNA Dental. We started our company based around the fact that we really wanted, so I'm really a huge fan of additive and 3D printing, and I see an incredible potential to be able to increase patient care and well-being through digital dentistry. And kind of the missing piece when we were first approached about helping local clinicians on implementing this technology, it was very clear that there's just a huge learning curve and a gap in sort of the supply of all the equipment and resins and the incredible advancements we're making in that area, with the actual ability to implement that in clinic. So we really are formed as a way of solving that problem, and small labs as well, just being able to introduce everybody and help them through all of the problems that come with implementing digital workflows. We are able to provide that by through equipment material supply, helping with all the setup steps that might, and maybe addressing all the concerns that you should have before implementing this technology, either in your lab or in your clinic. And then really once you kind of identify all the areas that you need help with, in those, when you're ready to implement something like this, we really can step up and help all the way from installation, training at any time. If you have staff changes and stuff like that, that's not an issue. We can help new staff learn as they come in, and teach new workflows as they come up. We have study groups and all kinds of resources to be able to help with that. And then of course our background is really in IT anyway, so being able to help with any IT issues is a huge aspect of wanting to have that solution. So whenever problems arise, you have a fast way of getting back up and running. We provide remote and in-person repair services and technical support and training. And then as things are changing, we're always keeping up to date, and so we can keep you on the cutting edge. With no further ado, I want to introduce Kevin from LuxCreo, who is the leader of their sales and really amazing guy. Has been in the 3D printing industry for a very long time. So Kevin, if you'd like to introduce yourself a bit more and start telling us more about LuxCreo. Why we should
Yes,
be
thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here on with you guys. Thank you for hosting me. And it's a pleasure to be working with 3DNA. You guys are a wealth of knowledge, and I think you're gonna really be a true partner for LuxCreo.
Yeah, we're
Let me
excited.
share my screen here. Yeah. Awesome. All right, can you see my screen?
I can't. There we go. There it is. Let us know if you can't see for any reason. Anybody in the chat, maybe if there's any problems there.
Give me 1 second here. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Kevin Dillon. I'm with LuxCreo. I've been in the dental space for almost 30 years, and I've been in the 3D printing space since about 2012. I had a small little break that I wasn't in dentistry, where I actually went out to pursue 3D printing, and I worked in the industrial space for a few years before coming back to dental in 2015 with Envision Tech. I had spent about 9 years there. I came over to LuxCreo. They really had something that was unique to the marketplace. The technology that they've developed and the solutions that they've solved really was quite attractive. So I came on board here about a half a year ago. really perfecting the whole workflows. The LuxCreo is really the expert on clear materials, specifically the direct print clear aligner. You'll hear me say the one-click workflow. That refers to the ability to just go through the workflow without having to do nesting, without going through the rigmaroles of the front end and the back end, but really create a seamless workflow for the aligner or any other applications. We use one click for all applications, but in this case, it's truly a direct print aligner workflow, one-click workflow. Um,
It's so exciting. That is part of what's been missing for sure, software wise.
A little bit about LuxCreo. LuxCreo is a leader in 3D printing solutions. We really generate a lot of um, uh, we've created a lot of workflow around it, AI-based, advanced materials, hardware, software, to really create a complete solution and not just a one-dimensional solution. We're backed by Kleiner Perkins, plus several other private equity held companies. We have facilities in Beijing and Silicon Valley, our two headquarters, manufacturing in Ningbo, Hong Kong, and Taipei. But our latest has been our education center in Chicago. So we built out a education center in downtown Chicago, which opened up last month. And we will be holding courses here pretty regularly, not only on our direct print aligners, but all of our applications as well. The founding team, I wanted to bring this up because I mean, you obviously don't know these people, but what I wanted to really point out was all four of our founding members are all STEM experts. Mike Yang, our CEO, is an expert in AI, computer systems, and building up startups. Harry is a Georgia Institute of Technology PhD in polymer science and is really an expert in resins. Michael Strohecker, our Chief Revenue Officer, and also my boss, he is an aerospace engineer and material scientist. He's actually been printing since 1995 and has been a cornerstone of creating our system. And Louise, our Chief Strategy Officer, she is an applied mathematician. So I think the point that I'm trying to make is that our backbone of our company, of LuxCreo, is truly technology backed. We're looking for solutions, creating technology to advance dentistry and simplify what you can do in your practice. Many of you don't know who we are. They've ever heard of LuxCreo? We've been on the market really since the end of 2022, kind of launched everything at the AAO meeting in 2023. We go back even further. Our company was really stood up in 2019, but we started our technology as early as 2017. And as we developed the technologies, in 2022, we got the first FDA Class 2 cleared for direct print aligners. This actually made history in dental history by doing this, and it allowed other companies behind us to get their FDA clearance as well. So we pioneered that FDA clearance on this material. Last year, we launched the iLux Pro solution where we kind of finalized the entire workflow and put it into companies like Glidewell and some of our other larger manufacturers. I think one of the things that is important to note here is that LuxCreo has been around since 2017, and got clearance for FDA in 2022, but really didn't start to market in 23. And what that tells me is that the company really wanted to make sure that the workflow was down pat, that we've got all of our pieces together. We didn't launch pre the solution before the solution was finalized, where a lot of companies rush to market, and when they rush to market, they run into issues with the equipment or with the workflow, giving that company kind of a black eye. So LuxCreo really is deliberate about making sure that what they're promoting into the marketplace is solid and 100%. So you can see here our investors. We have private equity investors at Kleiner Perkins, Northern Light, several others. So we are backed by some private equity. We hold over 250 patents. So we have patents in software, we have patents around the hardware and the printer and the material. Our digital polishing and our leap technologies are all patented, which really creates a unique approach to 3D printing and our 3D printing workflow. We're a manufacturing company as well. We have a smart factory, which is ISO 13485 certified. We manufacture ASICS recovery sandals. We were in the Paris Olympics. The Michael Strohecker was up there with ASICS and Dassault, where we provide the recovery sandals for the athletes. And what was unique is that the material itself is far advanced than regular foam. It's compression resistance. It's breathable. It's almost like you're walking on a cloud. I've got a pair of sneakers with them in there, and they are absolutely amazing. And to be able to master the elastomer is something that nobody has really been able to do. How do you master something that stretches when you print it? So it's been a challenge across 3D printing markets for quite a long time. They were able to solve that problem, and we created a manufacturing facility. We can manufacture aligners off this facility line as well, which if you needed to have some additional manufacturing done, we have the capabilities in an ISO certified factory that can do that for you. Our mission really is to empower dental laboratories, dental clinics, orthodontic practices with the clear aligner treatment, and really provide a new type of patient experience. We've simplified it. We used AI and machine learning to aid within our products. Our strategic partners, our resellers, our universities, you can see 3DNA is here, are people that we've worked with and cooperate with. Keystone, Desktop Health, we're open to several different resins as well. Some manufacturers, and Glidewell also is a manufacturer of our materials. When we start talking about the system, the first thing that most people talk about is, oh, it's another printer. And that a printer is a printer is a printer. A DLP projector is a DLP projector. All things being equal, let me get the cheapest one. And I hear that time and time again. And being in the printer space as long as I have, something can't be further from the truth. And the approach on the printer and what we do on achieving that print job is different than anybody else. And our approach to it is different. I've sold PolyJet printers and FDM printers and DLP printers, and there's MSLA and there's LCD. There's all these different technologies. We've looked at every single one of them, and our goal was to create something that really took a lot of the guesswork out of the operator. And I mean, optimally, the ideal thing is if I'm a dental practitioner and I need to print a model, I want to be able to say, okay, here's my scan, hit print, and out comes the model. It's all done, right? No processing, no nesting, no nothing. Ideally, that's what, stick it in, hit a button, and it pops out. Now, that's exactly the direction we're trying to go in. And if you're, you know, a MacGyver type, and when I say MacGyver type, a type that likes to buy a low-end printer, outsource another light source, get another curing box, and try to put it together to recreate a wheel that we've already created, it's because you've got a hobby and it's something that you like to do, and that's good. But if you want to be in a practice where you want production, you don't want to be trying to figure out how do I nest this? How do I post process it? Is this supports too thick? Are they too thin? Do I have limitations within my system that I can only print so thin? There's a lot of things that go into it. Why do you have to be the guy to figure it out? We did it for you. And we created a system within our Elite platform that really ties all of the variables together. We developed our own materials, we developed our own hardware, we developed our own software, and we've tuned them all together to create an easy, reliable system for you guys. One of the things that really attracted me was when I saw what they referred to as the LEAP platform. The LEAP platform is the method and how they control the printing process. One of the most challenging things in 3D printing is how do we master the separation forces, the peeling forces, your adhesion, your cohesion forces that occur when the platform is pulling out of the resin and you've got this force. It's very much akin to when you've got a slide and you're putting a drop of water on that slide and you put another slide on top. You can't pull them apart like this, right? That's the force that we're dealing with. You almost have to slide it off. And so when you have that force is too high and you can't control it within that printer, then things will rip. You have failed prints and everything else. In what I've sold in the past, the Envision One, we use in an oxygen layer, carbon, NextDen 5100s. Those are used to manage those forces. Other technologies like CLP from the Einstein, force feedback from Rapid Shape, all of these technologies are what we refer to as load cells, where you're measuring the load cell is measuring it, and when it hits zero, it goes back and it speeds up the process. All of these things have problems within their own inherent technology. We've created something a little bit simpler from an operator point of view in that we use a nanotexturing tray that really helps master those forces. We use software to communicate to know what's happening during that print job. And we formulate resins so that we can stand that up with the most minimal supports and be able to reduce the post-processing time off that part. And so we refer to it as LEAP platform. And it allows us to print very, very thin parts, 6/10 aligners, which not all systems can do. So it's a very highly performing, tuned technology that is different from anybody else on how we're able to perform. This is just a slide showing, the different technologies that we use. And when we utilize our LEAP platform and our DLP projector, we can get thin parts that have isotropic properties, very similar to injection molding. And it truly is a unique way in printing that nobody else can do.
When you say
Uh,
6/10, Kevin, do you mean like 0.6 millimeters or?
0.6 millimeters
Got it. Okay.
of thinness, yeah. Because the general rule in 3D printing is you don't want to print anything less than millimeter because
Right.
it's too thin and you're not going to be successful. And a lot of it has to do with how that printer can print.
Sure.
And with the LEAP technology, we patented what we refer to as digital polishing. And no other companies have quote unquote digital polishing as well. But this isn't just a tray. So what people refer to as digital polishing is this opaque tray that smooths out your part. Yes, that is a key part of it, but what's also a key part of it is making sure, if you can see my little button, my little light here, this up here is the only support that's supporting that entire night guard. There's literally 6 tiny dots on this half-inch line that's there. So digital polishing employs resin development. It employs software communication so that I have an accurate fit. And it employs the digital polishing tray that allows us to smooth it out. There's a competitor that also employed digital polishing, and when they did, it increased their print time from an hour to 4 hours. There's no compensating software in there. So as you smooth out the part, you're not creating an accurate part. You're just creating a part that has now been smoothed over and has less accuracy. So we really employ all of these things, as I said, to really get an accurate, clear part that really reduces your printing finishing time. It is the toughest night guard I've seen printed off any printer. I was at the AAO meeting and I took one of these night guards and I started walking around to the booths. Some big guys, and I have them try to squeeze it and break it. Nobody could break it. I took the key splint soft material and it crumbled like balsa wood. So it is the closest thing you're going to get to a milled puck off of this printer, and it eliminates 90% of the finishing time. The cost of this material is also $55 lower than Key Splint Soft. You can see down here, Key Splint Soft retails for $440 a kilo. We're less. Here's an example of production time. When I say that we can increase your production time by 6 times, this is what I'm referring to. This is a side-by-side comparison with Key Splint Soft or Sprint Raison X. I'm not sure which one it is, where you've got a horizontal supports You've got to literally, I mean, they're moving as fast as they can to scrape off those parts. And they're going pretty good. But then after they take that off, they're going to have to take a wheel and pumice that down. By the time they get to the wheel, I've already got 3 of these things done, and this now has to be completely finished down. There's a technique in finishing night guards that's referred to as candy coating, where you take uncured resin and you apply it on the surface of this, and then you cure it again. In the science of polymer science, you're never going to get that second layer of cleared resin completely cured. It's a very dangerous thing to do. There's a lot of theory that this is really kind of a process that should be stopped, because if you have uncured resin in the mouth, it can lead to agitation of soft tissue. So we want to make sure we eliminate any of those risks, at the same time able to increase their speed of production. Any questions there? I'll take a break here for a second.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, but for sure the candy coating thing has always confused me how it got so far. And there's so much yellowing that happens, like kind of right off the bat, and it just seems like something that would be a big red flag right there. But
If you talk to the polymer science, they'll tell you that you're never going to get that completely cured just from post-processing. It's got to be a combination of printing and post-processing for complete curing. That's how the resin's developed. So it's kind of a dangerous way to go about it. And you'll know when that happens, when you have uncured resin. If you put a part in the mouth that you know is FDA cleared and it's past cytotoxicity, why is it agitating? 90% of the time, it's probably because you have uncured resin still left on that appliance, and it's leaching out into the tissue. So it is really a critical part of printing. We offer a complete end-to-end solution. So we have a wash station, our iLux Pro, which is our printer. We have a cure box, and we also have a dryer in the aligner process. The whole entire goal here is to help solve the challenges of the 3D printing aligner, to reduce the treatment process and process steps, and to create something that can be done much faster, much easier, fully digitized. You don't have to worry about cutting yourself by cutting the trays off the model. And so I'll take you through this process in a little more detail. A quick note about our material: it is a Class 2 cleared material. It was in 2022. We have passed all the cytotoxicities, the oral case of irritation, all of the shrinkage tests, and everything that has to happen. So this is a completely safe material, and it has been cleared not only in the FDA, but MDR, CE in Asia, and pretty much everywhere around the world, with the exception of Canada, which we should have by the end of the year. I spoke about the digital polishing and how we are able to polish those units without having to cure them. And really the benefit of it is in the aligners, because I can get a clear aligner and then just finish off the edges much more clear and much more in line with a thermoform aesthetic value than what our competitors have. It's very key. Another thing to note about the materials, I'm going to mention 2 things here, but number 1 is the glass transition temperature. So if you see this bottom graph down here, where it's your glass transition temperature is 116 degrees C, why is that important? Well, our glass transition temperature is over the melting point of water at 100 degrees C. Your body temperature is 37 degrees C. Glass transition temperature is the point at which the material starts to deform at the temperature that it starts to achieve. So we have in our dental space what we refer to as bioreactive materials. Key-Splint Soft is one. Flexera's dentures is one. The Lucitone material is one. These are materials that have a low glass transition temperature by design, so that when it goes in the mouth, it softens and it becomes more comfortable. So there's a purpose to have a low glass transition temperature. But when you're moving teeth and you need forces on that tooth, we don't want something to soften. So our glass transition temperature is significantly higher. And so that when you're drinking something hot or you're drinking something cold, you do not feel a difference. The material maintains its forces throughout that entire environment, hot or cold. And interesting, because I had the experience last week. I was in I was in a customer's practice, and we were printing their own aligner, and we got it printed and it fit perfect, and he thought it was really comfortable. And then he took out his liner and he put his competitive aligner in. And when he drank with cold water, he could feel the aligner shrink around his teeth. And then he took it off and he put the thermoform in, and he drank the cold water, and the thermoform material shrank around his teeth. He did the same test with both those materials with boiling hot water, as hot as he could get it, and as hot as he could tolerate it. And when he drank it, the both of those, the competitive material and the thermoform material, loosened up in his mouth. He could feel the difference between the hot and the cold. He put the 4D aligner in that we just printed for him, drank cold, drank hot, felt no difference. Perfectly exactly the way it was the whole time. And that's what we're talking about, something that maintains its force throughout different temperatures. The other thing to look at too is the stress relaxation. When you boil the 4D aligner, and because it's a thermoset material, it's going to snap back into shape. Now, remember, we're comparing thermoform materials to a thermoset materials. Most 3D printed materials are thermoset materials, and we formulated this material to have, and those thermoset materials have cross-link polymerization. And when you put that type of in there, it snaps back to its regular shape. When it's formulated like ours is, it goes back to perfect shape. And when you do it each time, and you look at this graph right here, you can see that the stress relaxation gets higher and higher each step. What does that mean? Is I'm boiling it, I'm taking it out, and I'm bringing it back to shape. And each time I do that, it gets a little stiffer so that it's actually improving the effectiveness of moving the teeth over the course of the week or 2 weeks that it's being worn. You can't do that with thermoform. You take a thermoform on and off, on and off, on and off, it becomes loose. It's now not really effective anymore. You do that with the 4D aligner, you drop it in hot water for 10 minutes, take it out, it's back to its shape. It's quite amazing.
And then, so on that same slide, Kevin, those other metrics are all have those are all for the clear aligner material from LuxCreo. So that's approximately the correction force that you guys are shooting for there on the
Yep.
top.
So you see right here in a typical line, you see some softening with the temperature and the strength of the newtons. And this is the demarcation of the line that you don't want to cross. So we never get to the point where it's going to be too loose. And over
Nice.
here, you're just measuring the tensile strength on this as well. So yeah, these are all factors that are benefit to the materials properties. This is just a quick video showing that I drop it in hot water and it goes back to shape. I'm sure you believe me. Accuracy is some of these videos. You know what I'm going to show, so I don't need to keep going. One of the things that I think is important to note is accuracy in relation to tooth movement, and why is it important? One of the things that we definitely know is that aligner manufacturers, very large ones, uh, always are looking to increase throughput. How many models can I get off that printer because I've got millions to do and I need to get it out, and we can't afford any more capital equipment, so let's increase the throughput. When you increase throughput on a 3D printer, what you do is you increase your layer thickness. You go from 100 microns, most of these guys gone to 175 microns. You've doubled your throughput, but you've inversely cut your accuracy in half. So over the last 5 years, what we've seen is a lot more aligner cases not really being successful, or we've seen more and more revisions. And it has a lot to do with the fact that now we're dealing with a model that is not accurate, that is printed at 175 microns. And when you put a thermoform on top of that, now your thermoform is inaccurate. And you add to the fact that this thing's being taken off throughout the day and over the week, and it becomes looser and looser. And you wonder why some of these aligner treatments and these people are having to come back because they have relapse cases or it's not effective. Accuracy is absolutely critical in moving teeth. And so when you 3D print something, you're going to get a greater accuracy when you direct print it versus printing a model and doing a suck down. The ABO standard for accuracy on models for aligners is 80 microns at 80% accuracy at 200 microns. Your thermoform aligner barely achieves that. We're getting almost 90% accuracy at 200 microns and 75% accuracy at 100 microns. The accuracy level on these clear materials is phenomenal. I've been in the 3D printing space for a long time. I have not been able to see clear materials to be as accurate as what we were able to get. A lot of it has to do with the leak technology. It's difficult because clear materials will translate the light through, and you have the ability to change the way that not the ability, but it's a detriment when you can have a problem with clear materials that aren't accurate coming off a system that wasn't designed to do so. So it's been a challenge. Printing clear materials has been a challenge in 3D printing quite a long time.
Yeah, light bleed,
Um,
yeah.
one click workflow. I'm just going to refer to this. I want to explain what one click workflow means. You can see on this slide here the lattice support structure that we created for our liners. This literally took a year to develop because we wanted to ensure accuracy of our part, to have it stand up, and to be able to put this support structure in place without you doing anything. So one click workflow means I bring in my STL file, the thing pops up in an automatic nesting, and the next thing you do is you hit print. I know that a lot of you out there have a printing system that has automatic nesting. I know I worked for a company that had automatic nesting. Those automatic nesting protocols aren't necessarily automatic, nor are they one click, because where I worked, you put up automatic nesting on a surgical guide, you almost always had to go in and take a support out of where the hole is. You know, you're doing a denture and you've got a support on the intaglio piece, or you have this thing orientated in a way that it's not going to fit right. I know that if you orientate a denture in a different way, you'll change the fit. And there's no exacting protocols to have, it's always going to be this way, it's always going to be that way. You have to follow the rules. And in some cases, to nest this might take 20, 30 minutes to do. We're trying to take that time out of your workflow so that there's no time from there to there. You're just nesting it and hitting print, not spending 15 minutes. One click workflow is truly, I'm bringing it in, it's nesting it, I'm next thing I do is going to print. So it's important to note that we're really trying to take a lot of the steps out of your hands so that you don't have to think about it anymore, and it just works. Um, this kind of just goes through the one click real quick. We're going to import the data. We're going to print. We're going to go through the heat cure, UV cure. We're going to remove support and buff the edge. Lux Design. Lux Design is a living, breathing software. We're working on this all the time. This is probably the most advanced software for creating a liner in the world. We can take an ortho treatment, bring it into our Lux Design. We will choose the trim line. There's 4 parameters we'll choose. We'll choose the type of trim line. So we have 5 now. There's 4 showing here, but we've got a 5th one. We choose our block out, or what we refer to as gap fill, so that the inner proximers are filled in and your thing fits well. And then the 4th, we choose between uniform thickness and multi-thickness. Multi-thickness. Now, there's something that we haven't been able to do. And that's the ability to have our ortho treatment being read by Lux Design through machine learning and applying extra thicknesses in the area where it's going to assist tooth movement. Focused force movement that has been 3D printed into the aligner, created automatically through AI. So we can do these multi-thickness retainers that are now going to increase greater force and increase tooth movement efficiency. This is the start. So what happens is you're going to bring in your files and then you're going to create your aligner. I'm not going to show you how to do this, but what I am going to do is give you a taste of our Lux Academy. Lux Academy is our online university and full of tutorials. It'll help you get started with the system right away. Any questions you have, we have all these tutorials to take you through. Can you hear this?
Not yet, but let's see.
But now,
No, I don't. I don't hear anything.
all right. Um,
Do you have
I don't
your
know how big
volume?
the volume's up. I think
Yeah.
it's a setting in here. I'm gonna play it
Okay.
anyways.
I mean, yeah, just being able to see the workflow in and of itself is still super useful. And I have to say, the way that you guys are supporting, the way that your supports are generated for those aligners makes a lot of sense. There's so much less polish or so much less cleaning after. You don't see anything on your screen where there's like a volume button like within the video, like on your presentation.
Yeah, I have it. I found it.
Okay, awesome. Oops.
It's okay. I have to do this first.
Okay.
Oh, it won't click. How come it won't click? All right. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. You can read it. It's in closed caption, so I'll take it through.
This part's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Now, this software is specifically for aligners and retainers, but is it also the one-click workflow for the other types of restorations and appliances, or is there a separate?
That's LuxFlow. That'll be next.
Got it. So specifically, this part of the software is essentially to get from your planning software to where you're getting those turned into aligners within LuxFlow, or is LuxFlow the one that makes the aligner itself?
No, this is making the aligner. So we're bringing in the ortho treatment. We're then taking your first case and putting it into orientation. So they want to make sure
Okay.
that the case comes in occlusion, facing forward, and then you're going to define the plane by finding three landmarks, just like the one on the right. And that will create the orientation so they knows where everything is. So she clicks the three things and then she hits go. Oh shit.
You know, we can always include these videos on our website after this, and so anyone who wants to hear the sound, we can make that available to them offline.
Yeah.
So basically, we're going to go through this whole thing and you're going to create the aligner. It takes a couple minutes. We have what we call fast track AI. So I can take in all 20 trays in 4 minutes. It's going to, once I get this one done, it's going to translate to all of the rest of the trays. And then it's going to go into LuxFlow. LuxFlow is this next software, and it's going to take you from the Lux design into LuxFlow. So this is LuxFlow. So LuxFlow is the nesting software. This is where the one-click stuff happens. So you're going to open up LuxFlow. They're going to go back to Lux Design to bring it in. You're going to select the printer. You're going to select the DCA treatment, and then you're going to hit next. The C plus membrane is the digital polishing membrane. And choose all the ones that you want to bring into LuxFlow. So now it's been exported to LuxFlow. I could choose between 45 degrees support or 70 degrees support, depending on how many parts I have. Now, this is one-click generation, is what I refer to, will automatically generate the part into that scaffolding structure, which ensures accuracy and repeatability.
So you can manually do it for one tray, and then it essentially takes care of the rest.
You don't even have to do it manually. You just bring it all in and it'll automatically go. Okay.
Right, on that side, on the nesting side,
Yep.
right?
So we're going to go through the process here. And once we come out of Lux Pro or Lux Flow, we go into the printer. We're going to go over to the printer and we're going to hit start. I can get 12 to 15 aligners off of a build plate. You can see how big that build plate is. And then we take it to the wash station. One of the things that I think is important to note is that we do everything that we manufacture everything for a purpose. The wash station was a problem. We did not find one that worked with it that was very well. What the problem with the wash station is you put a part in there, you turn the timer for 5 minutes, the timer goes off, and you get called away, right? It's while you're waiting, you get a phone call, you come back, and now that part's sitting there for an hour. This wash station will take 3 liters of IPA through ultrasonic and agitation. It'll clean that part 4 minutes. It'll evacuate out. 3 liters of IPA will come in again. That's clean. 4 minutes, and then it'll come out, and then sitting in a dry basket. So if you get called away, your parts are sitting in a dry basket. They're not sitting in isopropyl, and that's important. The next thing we do is we're going to take it to a drying oven. And this is important. This kind of takes place of the whole nitrogen part of it because we're literally burning off the remnants of that IPA and any impurities in there for ultra clarity. And then the curing box. We could not find a curing box on the market that did what we wanted to do. The number one curing box on the market is the Auto Flash. It has a wide nanospectrum wavelength from 350 to 700. It has high intensity light, and in all indications, it's considered the number one in the market. However, the build plate's this big. We needed to be able to stick all 18 parts in there, 15 parts in there. And we also wanted to eliminate a variable of turning it over. So in the Auto Flash, you put a part in there and you set the timer. You have to open up the top, flip it over, and close it. That introduces distortion. We wanted to make sure we got full curing and we didn't introduce distortion. There's no flipping this over halfway through. So there was no other curing light that would do that, so we made it. You're just going to remove the supports, literally peel it off like Velcro, and then just finishing the edge. That's the workflow. It's quite easy to go through. I know we have a couple of minutes. One of the things I want to talk about, two quick things before we go. One is relapse cases. We're seeing that this is truly the sweet spot for the direct print aligner. In the orthodontic space, the relapse cases are still priced extremely high. I've talked to doctors that are charging, $5,000 for a relapse case, and they're charging $5,000 for a full case. I talked to one doctor that charged $3,000 for 2 trays. It becomes cost prohibitive for the patient, and many patients would like to have their teeth just tweaked a little, but they're not going to spend a full treatment for a plan. So what we're seeing is the costs are too high for the practice, and if you can do this in-house, and the aligner itself only costs $5 to print. What does it look like in terms of revenue generation when you've introduced relapses into your practice? A couple of the orthodontists that I talked to, if they're treating a young adult, a child, and the mom is sitting at the end of the chair, they'll ask them, "Hey, have you had ortho done?" They might find out that they just want to twist the case and but they don't want to spend 5,000, but they might spend two. And you scan that patient, maybe it becomes a comprehensive case. And so we're seeing a practice now where orthodontists are saying, hey, look, here's the sweet spot. And if I have direct print aligners and I can do everything in house on one bill tray, now I'm looking at making some money. This is a cost analysis of what it would look like if you did two trays, two relapse cases per week, and let's say an average of 8 trays, just kind of a random number. I know that you can get outsourcing treatment plan from Titan at $45. Your aligner is $5. And how I come about that, it's $600 for a bottle, 1 liter, and the scaffolding with the aligner weighs 7 grams. So I got 7 grams into 1,000 grams, that's 140 aligners. If I say there's waste and I call it 120, we'll give it $5. 120 into 600 is $5. So your total cost of treatment for two relapse cases is 170. If for the sake of argument, you charge 2,000 to that patient and you're bringing in 200,000 of recurring revenue every year, or your total cost is just under 4,000 for those two cases and your gross profit is 191,000. I would say that's pretty good ROI on a printing system. So we're seeing where this you want to do all your big cases, your Invisalign cases or ClearCorrect or wherever you're sending them because you like that workflow for the large cases. Understood. This is really where you're doing direct print aligners, direct print retainers. You're doing it in-house. It's costing you hardly anything. You can bring in a lot more revenue, especially in today's day and age when the last few years and everybody spent their COVID money to get their teeth fixed, and now they're holding on their money now. We're looking for ways to increase our business and to grow our business, and relapse cases with direct print aligners is really the sweet spot for this technology.
A great way
We
to
have a
just
pro.
like it's a
Go
really
ahead.
cool way to like warm into it too, right? Without having to like kind of blindly trust it too much
Yeah, yeah. This
clinically.
exactly. And it kind of gives you've got some small cases that you're not changing your whole world upside down.
Right, right.
LuxCreo creates a 4D aligner, meaning we have multi-thickness aligners. How effective is multi-thickness aligners in the clinical setting? Well, we're finding out, and we're getting case treatment back in this program called 4D Aligner Dash 20. 4D Aligner being the brand name, Dash 20 refers to 20 trays or less. So we're taking in cases, we're getting feedback from clinicians so that we can track movement of our system in comparison to other aligners. So when you buy a LuxCreo system, we'll give you 10 free orthodontic treatment cases with that purchase. So whatever you charge for your aligner case is going to be gravy. All we ask is that once you buy the system and you get using it, that you do the first 4 trays yourself. This will help us train you so that you become an expert in 4D, the 4D aligner and direct print aligner. So after those 10 cases, you've got it going. And two, if you do the first 4 trays, scan on the 5th one, we'll print the rest of them. Those first 4 trays will give us some data in case there's a lot attachments that need to be moved or certain cases. We can see what happens when we're doing movement without attachments. So we want those records of those cases. But we'll give you 10 free cases if you participate in this program. I think it's a great way to get started. We do have costs around this. So you're saying, hey, look, I just want to try one. Then we'll charge you $17.50 for a case. If you go, hey, I want to try one and I'll give you feedback, then we'll charge you $12.50 a case. If you go, hey, look, I've got a staff problem. I've got a system. I want feedback. I got to get these cases out. I'm just going to have you do it. Then we'll do it for $800 a case if you have a system and you provide us feedback. So there's a way to see these treatments in action. You can do the 10 free, you can get one started, but that's pretty much a good way to get an idea of how we operate.
So Kevin, just for clarification there, on that, so first of all, their first 4 that they print in house, assuming they have a printer, you're saying they don't put attachments on at all, chair
Right.
side or whatever, for that moment, and then they'll plan attachments later, right?
On
And then,
stage 5.
right, and then partner programming, that's those prices are based on the idea that they've purchased a LuxCreo system. correct.
Bottom four, yeah, the partner program is with purchased, right? And the top one is just a straight fee to do one
Right.
case or many cases or whatever you wanted to do.
Right.
It's still a reasonable price of $17.50 for a full case.
Mhm.
So
Perfect.
if you're interested into that program, you can get it
And
in
20
touch with
stages or
Mike and
less
Paul.
at the top there, 20 stages or less, that means 40 aligners, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. 10 for.
Yeah. Yeah. Last little thing here, we do have an selectively open system, so we can print Keystone, Dreve, Desktop Health, Glidewell. We opened up to a lot more systems that so that you have a very useful printer here by having not only all of the LuxCreos, but all of the Keystone, the Rodin, the Flexera, the Dreve, and everything else. Um, we
That's
have
huge.
an unbelievable support structure. We have Lux Academy, which is a collection of courses and micro courses. We have additional protection program. We have an IT support system that works quite well. And we also utilize Mike and Paul 3DNA as our tier one support as well. And we've got a Lux Link, which is our cloud-based fleet management system. So we've got complete infrastructure, no matter how small or how big you are.
That's huge.
And this just goes through some of the equipment, which we can send all this information to you. Our full system, our printer is in at $14,999 for retail. Your entire system with all four pieces of equipment and trays and resins to get started is $20,899, and you will get 10 free cases with this price as well. And then I believe you have also a special mic.
That's right. Yes.
So I got it in under an hour.
Yeah, good job. That was awesome. So this is a great time. Any questions
Nice
can come in
timing.
now. And yeah, we are offering 10% off the whole package for the next 30 days. And more importantly, maybe to get your hands-on experience to actually see how this all works, please join us and let us know if you can join us on August 26th. We'll be in Chicago at the LuxCreo Education Facility. Um, and we're just really excited to you know not it's all of this should be experience driven and really very exciting for somebody to onboard in a way that seems really clinically or very obviously useful to the clinic. So that's our main goal, is to really make sure that we don't have any more of these I'm sure Kevin can tell us, like, a lot of 3D printers are sitting in a clinic not doing anything, and we do not want that to continue.
Well, it looks like we do have a couple questions coming in here. Let me see. Um, how can we check fitting after curing without teeth model?
We have a heat map that will show you how to do how accurate it is in the Lux design.
I'm sure the question though is like how to find out what the accuracy of the printed aligner is. And I think in some sense it must be that the research has been done many times. And at the end of the day, in clinic, you're probably going to find out by having patients' teeth not move the way you would expect if it was inaccurate. But the testing has been done sort of third party, right? Or at least at the LuxCreo.
After you've done your 10 free cases, you'll be assured that
Yeah,
this is accurate. Now, you can always print the model. You've got the model from the file, so just print the model. We've got model material. You want to
exactly.
check it. It can print models. So, yeah.
Also in dental monitoring, I mean, things like dental monitoring, a lot of times it's essentially what they're using is to see the distance of the bottom of the cavity to where the actual tooth is and look for any air bubbles. So if you're using something like dental monitoring, it would also help to identify that.
Now we do have a question about labeling on the aligners. So that's a good question. We didn't cover that.
Mhm.
Yes, we have a labeling feature on there that allow you to put the initials of the patient. You can put the number of the aligner, and we have what we call Fast Track AI, which we're launching here in about a few weeks, where it actually automatically numbers all of the parts for you.
Okay. Sounds
Did I
great.
see, Kevin, on the actual print bed, is there like a small label at the bottom of the support structure?
Yeah,
Does that say patient name or something like that?
I think it just says Lux Creo on it, but
Okay.
you could put the patient name. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I can
label
see
that.
that being useful if you're printing multiple patients, like the first four of, let's say, 2 or 3 cases. It might be good to have that type of a
Yeah,
label. Yeah.
yeah. Good. Any other questions?
Do we have any more? Yeah.
Must have been pretty informative. We have a few in the chat, maybe.
I saw one in the chat and then one in the Q&A. Well, you know, you did such an amazing job, Kevin, but you know, you answered everything.
You
Crushing
didn't
it.
get half the
So
information that I
clear and
wanted.
concise that you have to work hard to come up with a question.
Well, I think it's super exciting that you guys have opened up to other residents so that this same platform, especially for a GP, but in general, there's this same platform is just so versatile at this point. There's not much.
We did get another question here, and this is from someone who I know is going to be up on August 26th.
Awesome.
Just wants to know, can you tell us more about that day?
Oh, like what'll be covered?
Yeah, so we're gonna basically on that day, we're gonna take the people that are showing up, we're gonna take you through the full workflow. In Chicago, we have a whole bevy of printers. You'll sit with our application engineers and we'll take you through to teach you how to do the Lux design and take an aligner case from ortho treatment all the way to pure post-cure, taking you through the entire day. So the idea is to just go through an entire walkthrough and get kind of a mini training on the system.
And I gotta say the setup is amazing. Got a little snack bar in there. You got a classroom. You have multiple units that are you can work hands on with. It's like going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Now if they bring their scans, Kevin, we can, obviously print their case that day or at least have retainers for
What
them
I
to experience.
prefer, what I would prefer to do
Yeah,
is anybody that wants to attend is it to, if you can, send us the scans. Uh, Try to send us the scans the Wednesday before if we can. And
sure.
Okay.
then what we'll do is we'll make sure we print them ahead of time so that they're already done. And then we'll take them through and we'll print them again while we're there. So we can be assured that we have, that we've got success.
Okay.
That's what.
So you can send those to me. My email address is paul@3dnadental.com. You can reach out to me, and if the files are too large, we'll set you up a Dropbox, and we'll make sure those get there in advance. That's a great idea.
Looking forward to see people on the 26th.
Yeah. Um, I think that's about it. Uh, any last questions or comments before we wrap this up? And we will have
We
be
do have
up
one more question.
a recording of this.
It says, do you need a specific scanner for LuxCreo? And I'm pretty sure the answer is that the answer is no, and that it's open source there.
Yeah, it's open source. Those are all the same now.
Yeah.
And we do have
Gotta be a
scanners
preference.
available at 3DNA. So if you need we got a great wireless scanner from Shining 3D Dental, and we can do a special on that as well if you're looking for scanners.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the hot new scanner, isn't it?
It is. I was just up at their training facility in Tampa last week, and it's doing some pretty amazing things. And we did hands-on sessions with the whole crew. So yeah, it's and for the money, you can't beat it.
Well, like
So
Kevin said, they're becoming very similar from one to the next, but the Shining 3D one is very fast, like it's a fast scanner, and then it's priced very competitively, I think is one of its main features.
all right, everyone, thank you for joining. Like I said, we will make this recording available. We'll send it out to everyone who attended, and it will also be available on our website. So and we'll let you know about next month's webinar coming up soon.
All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kevin. Appreciate your
Thank you,
time.
Kevin,
Talk
very
soon.
much.
Take care.
Take care.